Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is Kushalmehra. All right, this is the final and part three of our discussion on Operation Sindoor. Today, we're going to be talking about what is the road ahead. So, as always, I'm going to give you guys a brief idea of what we are exactly looking at in terms of what we want to discuss, what we don't want to discuss. So, as far as today's discussion is concerned, our focus is going to be multi-pronged, but let's say we are going to talk about the internal politics, we're going to talk about the reforms that are needed, we're going to talk about the economic perspective, we're going to talk about the national security perspective. What are the lessons that we have learned? Were there any weaknesses that we see in this entire process? And remember, as the government has said, Operation Sindoor has not concluded. Operation Sindoor is still ongoing, and while it is ongoing, and now we have as we say, as we have a timeout right now. If we were to use sporting analogies, we are at a stage of a timeout, a strategic timeout. Because IPL का term use करेंगे हम. So if we have a strategic timeout, in the strategic timeout as a team, this country is a team, so we're going to try to discuss all these things. And as always, Tushar is with me. So Tushar, over to you. So you can start with your opening remarks, and then we can take it from there.
Thanks. Look, it might be an unpopular opinion, but I firmly do not believe that we have still achieved bipartisanship on the issue of Pakistan and India. I refuse to believe that the opposition parties are on the same page as the BJP, as the NDA when it comes to Pakistan. And I refuse to believe that in a few days from now or a few hours from now, the same opposition parties are not going to turn around and question the government that what have you really achieved by bombing the length and breadth of Pakistan. I just do not believe. And the problem is their lack of belief can remain. But tomorrow, this will also become a part of their foreign policy. That is what they'll pitch to the people during the election campaign. That we still stand for Aman Ki Asha. We still stand against the war. Because on the night of 8th November, 8th May, pardon me, 8th November is demonetization, it's 8th May. I saw a lot of these people who represent the Congress or its interest on social media calling for de escalation in all one tune, all of them. Why? There was a drone attack going on Indian cities, and these buggers were saying, let's de escalate. So, if these buggers in the middle of an attack from Pakistan can say de escalate, I'm pretty sure the opposition parties are going to show their true colors as well. Between 22nd April and 7th May, the IT cell, official and unofficial, of the same opposition parties were running all sorts of campaigns. One of the handles even went as far as accusing the government of curating this attack or staging this attack in Pahalgam to find a reason to escape their political problems after securing 240 seats in the Lok Sabha. This was the argument made. A dumb, stupid argument even a kindergarten kid wouldn't buy, but that was made. The Prime Minister was challenged by multiple spokespersons of the national parties as to what you're doing, what are you going to do, you cannot reply, everything has come apart, our foreign policy is a failure. A lot was said. And I understand these people wanted to put some political pressure, but the problem is, even after Operation Sindoor, nothing has changed. Jairam Ramesh, even now, tweets about Donald Trump and he wants to attribute whatever happened to Pakistan to Donald Trump. They still want to indirectly, rather, give Pakistan the upper hand and claim that Pakistan had the last laugh in Operation Sindoor. Now, the problem is the same political parties who do not stand with the government on the issue of Pakistan are going to become a hindrance when the same government attempts reforms. If the last 3 or 5 days haven't woken you up to the reality of a new world, nothing can. You do not realize the importance of indigenous manufacturing. You do not realize the importance of increasing our defense budget. You do not realize the importance of R&D. You do not realize the importance of infrastructure even now. You do not realize the importance of having governments, state governments that can work with the center across the Western Front. Then, my friend, you have a problem. And this is what we're going to talk about today, the politics of it.
Now, see, there are many ways we can break this down. The problem, is it a problem of the Congress and the opposition per se, or is it the problem of a kind of leadership that is dominating the Congress today? Because Manish Tiwari is also the Congress, Shashi Tharoor is also the Congress. And to be very honest, their defense of the Indian point of view has been nothing less than stellar in this entire process. I would go to another extent that honestly, in this entire process, I did not, I mean, because the government was responding, so the BJP was kind of silent. And this is my critique of the BJP, not the government of India. The BJP as a party in this entire process could have done better too. People keep talking about the Congress. See, this is my view as an analyst. This is not Tushar's view. So whatever I say should not be attributed to Tushar. The Congress Kerala handle, I think, lives in another country. I'm genuinely convinced about that. That they think they are, that handle thinks they are not giving the Indian point of view. I think they are giving the Pakistani or the Chinese point of view, depending on which side of the conflict we are on. Javeer was brilliant. I remember once Javeer was brilliant, but consistently, if you look at the BJP and its social media messaging, also, I was not really impressed. Beyond the point, I think the BJP IT cell. I have many friends there. I'm not going to say they. I know them personally. I know them for so many years, but I'm just giving a very honest answer because I don't care. यार मेरा बीजेपी घर नहीं चलाती है तो मेरे को कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. So I think the most robust defense this time from the government point of view is actually from the government itself. I think the press conferences were stellar. The data collection and the data dissemination was stellar. Other than that, there were few individuals, whether they were pro BJP, M, or anti BJP. It was all an individual driven exercise, in my point of view. Uh, because if we are going to criticize the Congress, we also have to appreciate that Shashi Tharoor and Manish Tiwari are also the Congress. And in fact, I would say one more member of parliament. She's not from the Congress. She used to be a pro Congress person. She's from the Uddhav Sena now. I don't know where she's going to end up, Priyanka Chaturvedi, but I want to take this opportunity to appreciate Priyanka also. See, she got mad at me once that I trolled her on the Ranveer Alabadia issue. But my criticism of Priyanka stays. But now I want to appreciate her also. I think Priyanka has also done a fantastic job whenever it came to her messaging on social media. So there are many individual members of parliament who have shown really good, brilliant responses too. But yes, the Congress is the problem. Jairam Ramesh is a problem. All the criticisms that you have leveled against the Congress are valid. They remain a problem. But I would like to look at the larger picture this time. I think at a larger narrative. I'll give you an example, like that show on Piers Morgan, right? That show on Piers Morgan. Now the right wing loves to hate Barkhadat. I'm saying it as it is. The right wing loves to hate Barkhadat. The way Barkha stood up for the country and the country's point of view. बॉस हिना रबानी खान भाग भाग गई वो शो से. क्यों भागी? वो बरखा और जिस जिस बच्चे का लोग कितना मजाक उड़ाते हैं, रणवीर अलाबादिया, और बनाते कई बार रणवीर को खुद को उड़ता तीर लेने की आदत है. मगर द पॉइंट इज रणवीर भी खड़ा हुआ ना अच्छे से. I mean, the way Ranveer presented himself, and मजे की बात है, बरखा and Ranveer have their own फड्डा. लोगों को ये नहीं मालूम है रणवीर के शो में बरखा के बारे में जैसा ही दीपक ने बोल दिया था, देखो मेरे को कुछ जाता नहीं है, मेरा किसी से पर्सनल बैर नहीं है. बट द पॉइंट इज आई स्टिल मेरा 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 सेंस ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग इन दिस एंटायर एक्सपीरियंस वाज दैट I look at it overall in a very positive way. The way some of us came together. Like, I used to constantly, मैं अभी मैं ये सब बातें बता रहा हूँ. Like, you know, every time Barkha would get something, Barkha would message me. Like, कुशल ये मालूम पड़ा, ये देख. अगर तुझे कुछ मालूम पड़ता था, तू मुझे बोलता था, मुझे कुछ मालूम पड़ता था, मैं तुझे बोलता था. इनफैक्ट मैं जब तूने वो फ्लाइट का किया, आई इमीडिएटली टोल्ड बरखा. मैं लाइव पे था, मैंने बरखा को बोला तुषार को अभी का अभी ला. You know, these things happen. So I think overall, what I would say is, yes, the Congress is a problem. The Congress's messaging is a problem, but there are many Congresses also. एक कांग्रेस की भी आत्मा पूरी तरह से नहीं मरी है, मैं ये कहने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. कांग्रेस की आत्मा के अंदर बहुत बड़ा एक खड्डा है, वो भी मैं तेरी बात को 100% एक्नॉलेज कर रहा हूं. सो आई एम नॉट डिस्काउंटिंग व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, सो डोंट मिसअंडरस्टैंड मी.
No,
एवरीथिंग यू हैव एक्चुअली करेक्ट. व्हाट ऑल आई एम सेइंग
see,
इज दैट फॉर डॉक्टर जेकिल देयर इज डॉक्टर हाइड, जो भी है, जो भी है.
no, look, let's take it one by one. I do not share the optimism of people who are looking at Manish Tiwari or Shashi Tharoor, and that's my personal opinion. The thing with Manish Tiwari, and for people who don't know, he's actually my MP, right? My last vote was actually in Chandigarh, and he is my MP. And yeah, sure, I did not vote for him, but he is my MP. My problem with Manish Tiwari is that he is still pretty much in the gray. On national issues, he comes on stands with the country, but he's the same guy who was also questioning 370 legally. I cannot let that go. He's also the same guy who refused to take a stand against Congress's idea of affirmative action, of wealth redistribution. In fact, I remember countering him, this was last year on X, that why do you really want to support this insane idea? You are a lawyer, you have made your wealth, you worked hard for it, and still you sort of propagate Rahul Gandhi's absurdity of affirmative action. Shashi Tharoor has contested for the elections of the party president in Congress. And yet, Shashi Tharoor, what he thinks about the national cause in a crisis like this, doesn't even reflect largely in the Congress's communication. Shashi Tharoor is probably the finest communicator Congress has. But all said and done, all his work with the Congress, all his years with the Congress, he still cannot make a difference to the Congress. So what he says in an independent capacity, that's okay, that's good. But at the end of the day, he's a Congress MP. And that is enough for me. Priyanka Chaturvedi. Look, Priyanka Chaturvedi, after all the changes she's gone through, sure, she must have had her heart in the right place. I think on some issues, she really sort of gets on the government side, especially on issues that are not about the government or pro anti-government. It's more about India. So if you're on a pro-India stance, that's absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, these people are going to go back to become politicians. About the Congress, what you said, I feel there is a certain anarchy that is now settling in within the Congress. The Chidambarams, their generation thinks one thing. The current Thappers, who are even still sort of very chummy with the Congress, they in their communication ask something else. They still ask, what have we really achieved? Then there is the IT cell of the Congress. And still not forget the image they put out where the Prime Minister's caricature was done without a head. That was a problematic image that was put out by the Congress IT cell. Now, are you telling me Manish Tiwari or Shashi Tharoor or Priyanka Chaturvedi, also as one of the opposition MPs, cannot point that out? None of them did. And are you telling me Rahul Gandhi, for all the noise he makes about Jan Nayak and people's person and leader of the opposition, he couldn't just reprimand his IT cell head, who all we know is Supriya Shrinet, as evident by her Twitter bio? She still has her job,
अरे
right?
एज वी
So,
स्पीक कांग्रेस की पूरी आईटी सेल मेरे को पिछले 2 दिन से गालियां दे रही है. 2 दिन से
हाँ,
एक ट्वीट
तो
के लिए, बिकॉज आई सेड आई विल नेवर क्वेश्चन नरेंद्र मोदी एंड अमित शाह ऑन नेशनल सिक्योरिटी. एक पूरी आर्मी मुझे ट्रोल कर रही है.
and I mean, किसको ट्रोल
आई
कर रहे
डोंट
हैं?
केयर, लाइक आई पर्सनली आई डोंट इवन रिस्पॉन्ड. मेरे को तो कुछ फर्क भी नहीं पड़ता है. मैं तो जो
I
आता है मैं उसको म्यूट 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 करते रहता हूँ.
uh, I haven't seen someone as chill and calm in the face of trolling as you, so I don't know why they even try. But again, Kushal, in 2016, these people were questioning the surgical strikes. In 2019, the same people or their ecosystem was asking for the proof of Balakot strikes. Come 2020, the
आतिशी मार
same
लेना के
people.
बारे में बात करते हैं ना आज. वो
हाँ हाँ
आज
करेंगे
उसने
वो
क्या
वीडियो.
हरकत की.
आई एम श्योर यू विल बी प्लेइंग दैट वीडियो, राइट? वो 2020 में these same people during COVID were not standing with the government, were contributing to the mass hysteria. 2021, the same people were fear mongering against an Indian vaccine. The same people were fear mongering against the process of the vaccination drive कि states को procure करने दो, states करेंगे. फिर यही 12 लोग एक खत लिखते हैं प्रधानमंत्री को कि हमसे हो ना पा रहा है, आप करिए. And the prime minister then comes in at one fine day, one evening, he addresses the nation. Screw all this shit. I'm going to make vaccination free for the country. It's going to be done by the center. I still have all of that etched in my memory. So I now also know that some of these people are factoring in their own political future. They represent a very liberal constituency, especially Manish Tiwari. He now knows that if he talks about the proof of whatever we've done in Operation Sindoor, he's not going to win the next election. Heck, he doesn't even know if he's going to get a ticket from the Congress next. Shashi Tharoor, I really don't know what he's thinking because his own party treats him like a worthless paper. That is what I also tell Sanjay Jha sometimes, when I meet him for debates offline in studios. I tell him, you are probably the best spokesperson Congress had. But then Congress is not that Congress which you once represented. It is run
संजय
by
का मेरे को
people
मालूम नहीं
who.
हो कांग्रेस को क्यों डिफेंड कर रहा है सच्ची मैं संजय को अगर
Huh,
पर्सनली बोला तू कर क्या रहा है
no,
तू क्यों कर रहा है ये
I,
क्या जरूरत है तेरे को
I'll tell
करने की
you, for all the trolling I do to Sanjay Jha, and I'll never probably agree with that man. But I always tell him, you're still one of the most competent spokespersons the Congress had. Because I
डिसेंट
see the
मैन
current,
यार खराब आदमी
I'm a
नहीं है
decent,
डिसेंट मैन
and I see the current lot of Congress spokespersons. I often engage with them. They're subpar.
तहसीन को
I
कितनी गाली
remember.
दे रहे हैं यार तहसीन को कितनी गाली दे रहे हैं क्या
तो
गाली
मेरे
देते
को
रहते हैं
मैं इस चीज में नहीं पढ़ूंगा कि नहीं ये लोग अच्छे हैं या ये लोग अच्छा नेशनलिस्टिक स्टैंड लेते हैं बिकॉज ये कुछ भी करें एज लॉन्ग एज देयर कांग्रेस एमपीज कांग्रेस इनका स्टैंड को अपनी पार्टी लाइन में रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं करेगा देन दे आर सॉर्ट ऑफ फ्यूटाइल टू देयर ओन पार्टी and unless they really jump the ship which they have the full right to do so as independents even whatever they say it's just hogwash to me that's my opinion.
I want to play this clip ये I mean what यार मतलब does आम आदमी पार्टी have to be
Please play.
like ये क्या हो रहा है मतलब मेरे को समझ के बाहर हो गया अभी मतलब लास्ट टाइम बालाकोट में अरविंद था इस बार आतिशी आ गई है मतलब क्या जरूरत है ये बोलने की
अगर पाकिस्तान ने भारत के सामने हाथ जोड़े तो फिर सामने आके कोई समझौता क्यों नहीं हुआ क्यों पाकिस्तान दुनिया के सामने आके नहीं बोलता किसी कागज पे साइन नहीं करता दुनिया के मीडिया के सामने आके नहीं बोलता कि हमने भारत के सामने हार मानी और हमने भारत के सामने हाथ जोड़े तो प्रधानमंत्री जी आज पूरा देश ये जानना चाहता है कि अगर पाकिस्तान ने हाथ जोड़े थे तो वो दुनिया के सामने क्यों नहीं कह पाते
यार मेरे को एक बात बताओ आई वांट टू आंसर दिस पाकिस्तान आज भी मानता है वो 71 की जंग जीता है पाकिस्तान आज भी मानता है वो 65 जीता है पाकिस्तान आज भी मानता है वो क्या क्या नहीं मानता है पाकिस्तान इतना डिल्यूजनल देश है यार आतिशी को शर्म नहीं आती है ये बात कर रही है क्या हो रहा है ये दिस इज अ प्रॉब्लम नाउ दिस आई एक्सेप्ट इज अ प्रॉब्लम
Can we take this video to start to our next topic? The politics of the border states, Punjab. A lot of people may not have realized that in the past week, couple of weeks, when the nation was in an hour of a crisis, the Punjab chief minister was at the Bhakra Bias Management Board in Nangal, ensuring that water is not released to Haryana. Now, I'll explain the technicalities here. BBMB, Bhakra Bias Management Board, is under the center. It's not under any state government. The water in the Bhakra Nangal Dam is on the Punjab-Himachal border from a river coming from Himachal. 50% of that water is used for Punjab. Remaining is diverted to Haryana, Delhi, and elsewhere. Yet Bhagwant Mann made BBMB a personal issue so much it went to the court. Now Atishi Marlena is from the same party. Atishi Marlena wants a signature. She probably expects an affidavit to be released that Pakistan has admitted defeat. Probably she thinks the word of Shehbaz Sharif is higher than the word of our own forces, our own government, our own prime minister. She's free to believe that. But my problem is she also is a part of a party, an important part of a party that is running the state apparatus in Punjab, which shares a critical border with Pakistan. It was in Punjab that the Shri Harmandir Sahib was attacked by drones and they were intercepted on time. Yet no one from the Aam Aadmi Party has spoken about it. No one.
एक मिनट मेरे को है ना तेरे को और एक इमेज दिखानी है
दिखाओ.
ये अभी कहाँ गई यार अच्छा सॉरी ये सॉरी हाँ sorry about the technical so these are the points the government has given clear answers about so ये लोग बोलते हैं कि US brokered the India-Pakistan ceasefire. The MEA has categorically said it was directly between DGMOs. US says nuclear conflict avert कर दिया. इंडिया कह रही है मिलिट्री एक्शन कन्वेंशनल डोमेन में है. यूएस ने बोला उन्होंने थ्रेटन किया है. इंडिया ने कैटेगोरिकली डिनाई किया है कि कुछ नहीं है. अभी यहाँ तो आप अपनी गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर विश्वास करो कि दूसरे के ऊपर. उन्होंने बोला हम मीडिएट करेंगे कश्मीर में. हमने कैटेगोरिकली बोला है कि कोई नहीं होने वाला मीडिएशन. देयर इज नो हाइफिनेशन, नो डिस्कशन, नथिंग इज बीइंग प्लान्ड. ये चीजें क्लियर करना बहुत जरूरी है. तो आई एम जस्ट लेटिंग यू नो फॉर द रिकॉर्ड. सॉरी, हाँ, ये मेरे को बोलना था इसके लिए.
No, so again, my problem is these people run the state of Punjab. The state of Punjab has been under drone attacks. We discussed yesterday how drone attacks are going to be common. I urge everyone to see that podcast as well. It's a 3-series thing. I do not feel safe about Aam Aadmi Party running the affairs in Punjab. I just don't. Bhagwant Mann is not a serious chief minister, in my humble opinion. So, somewhere, what has happened in Operation Sindoor should also redefine how politics in these states work. In Rajasthan, in Gujarat. Gujarat is very nationalist in its political ideology. Rajasthan, to some extent, it's a swing state. Himachal, Congress or BJP doesn't really matter, but the nationalist fervor never goes away. Punjab, as a state, very, very nationalist. But the party running it has very different ideas. Why is your representative arguing over what the Pakistanis are saying? Why is she claiming a victory for Pakistan? Just this morning, a stupid fact checker who runs this one website, he was writing that the response of Pakistan to our airstrikes in 2019 was relatively measured. I mean, pardon the French, but ADBC, whatever, who the hell are you to define what Pakistan's magnitude of response is? You're an Indian. Speak like an Indian.
नहीं, forget that. Does he realize कि उनकी फटके फ्लावर हो गई थी? Does anybody realize how scared Pakistan was? Have we discounted that bit?
या तो क्योंकि पाकिस्तान की फटके फ्लावर हो रही है, इन लोगों की भी फटके फ्लावर हो रही है कि भाई अभी पाकिस्तान को ऐसे हैंडल किया तो इंटरनल एनिमीज को भी ठीक करेंगे.
अब तूने मुद्दे की बात की. अब इनकी फट रही है, इनका दुकान बंद हो रही है, इनकी दुकान बंद हो रही है. आज सुबह, अब मेरे को एक बात बता, आज सुबह रशियन को क्या है यार, टर्किश टेलीविजन या जो भी लड़ा लहसुन चैनल, सुबह बंद होते हैं और कुछ घंटों में चालू हो जाते हैं. किसके प्रेशर जाते हैं? कौन है? और तू देख वो कौन से जर्नलिस्ट है जो बोलते हैं व्हाई आर वी बैनिंग दीज पीपल. अबे साले दल्लो, तुमको क्या करना है ये चाइनीज मीडिया के बैन हटवाने के लिए? कौन है ये लोग? कौन है ये जो प्रेशर डालते हैं अंदर? कौन है ये वो मीम है ना, मेरे को वो वीडियो है ना, वो मेरे को क्लिप निकाल के रख देनी चाहिए. तू किसकी साइड में है? सिर्फ फोटो चेंज करते रहने का हर टाइम.
मैं तो आपकी साइड पे ही हूँ.
हाँ,
बहुत मस्त पिक्चर है.
ये लोग जो हैं, ये लोग इतने वाहियात लोग हैं ना, मेरे को इतना गुस्सा आ रहा है इन लोगों के ऊपर. अबे तुम किसकी साइड में हो? ये क्वेश्चन मेरे को यार ये सीरियस है. बहुत बहुत ये होता है, मेरे को गुस्सा आता है कि हम लोग.
प्रॉब्लम पता है क्या कुशल? अभी क्या हुआ 2016 और 19 के बाद जो लोग गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट थे, they realized that people are not going to buy that shit. People are not going to buy this Aman ki Asha crap, or they won't stand against the government when it comes to hitting Pakistan. तो काफी लोगों ने अपनी भाषा बदल दी है. One of the MPs from Hyderabad, now all of a sudden he's the social media darling, he's the new social butterfly. But people, just 30 days ago, he was standing against Waqf. Have you forgotten that? And have you all forgotten what Waqf really stood for? See, Kushal, one reason why the political parties in India get a very long rope on issues of national security is because the public memory is pathetic. It's as pathetic as a memory of probably a kindergarten kid.
And see, we played the clip of Icici Marlena. Basically, Icici Marlena कौन है मालूम है? वो ये है, वो ये पाकिस्तानी है. अभी ये क्लिप सुनो और आतिशी को सुन. ये लोग है ना, tell me what the difference is.
अब दुनिया ने बताया, यहाँ तक कि बरतानवी सहाफ़ी, अमेरिकी सहाफ़ी, CNN के सहाफ़ी ये बरमला एतराफ़ कर रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान ने क्या किया।
या निक रॉबर्टसन बहुत पुराना घोड़ा है, बहुत नॉलेजेबल है, इसने दुनिया।
निक रॉबर्टसन ने क्या बोला था में, एज पर पाकिस्तानी क्लेम्स, उसने ये नहीं बोला था पाकिस्तान ने किया है, बोल रहा पाकिस्तान ये क्लेम कर रहा है। ये पाकिस्तानी कितने हरामजादे हैं, ये टुच्चा साला फोका पंजाबी जो अपने बच्चे को बचाने के लिए भीख मांगता था इंडिया में, और मेरे पुत्र नु रोक लियो, तुझे मेरे पुत्र नु रोक लियो, जाके बात करना कभी सुशांत सरीन से। ये फोका हरामजादा, ये किन्ना कुत्ता जया है, ये नजम सेठी, ये सेठियों के नाम पे कलंक है, कुत्ता जया साला एक नंबर का। ये लोग इसकी लाइन बोल रहे हैं, और सुनो इस कुत्ते को।
दुनिया के बहुत से कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स कवर किए हैं, इज वेरी वेरी हाईली रिस्पेक्टेड, बहुत इंडिपेंडेंट ऑब्जर्वर है, रिपोर्टर है, एंड एज आई सेड वेरी हाईली रिस्पेक्टेड। इसमें जो उसने मोटी बात की है कि इंडिया ने अमेरिका से कहा कि सीज फायर कराएं, दिस इज द टेक अवे फ्रॉम दिस। पहली दूसरी चीज़ उसने ये कही है कि पाकिस्तान रिस्ट्रेंट शो कर रहा था, मगर इंडिया ने जो 3 एयरपोर्ट्स के ऊपर हमला किया पाकिस्तान में इन द अर्ली आवर्स ऑफ द मॉर्निंग, उसके बाद पाकिस्तान ने फिर वो फैसला कर लिया कि अब कर दो, जिसका हवाला आपने दिया कि DGI-SPR।
मेरे से सुनने को नहीं होता है हरामजादे को। इसके ना हम लोग बचपन में होते थे, वो ग्रीन वाला बम होता था ना, हम लोग बॉम्बे में उसको सुतली बम बोलते थे। पता नहीं तुम लोग नॉर्थ इंडिया वाले बच्चे क्या बोलते थे उसको, हम बॉम्बे में उसको सुतली बम बोलते थे। ऐसा धागे वाला ग्रीन बम होता था, बॉक्स बम नहीं, दूसरे वाला, हम उसको सुतली बम बोलते थे। ये ना गांडू की गांड के नीचे है ना, वो सुतली बम फोड़ना चाहिए भोसड़ी वाले के, साला हरामजादा, गांड के नीचे इसके फोड़ना चाहिए, हरामखोर, एक नंबर का थर्ड क्लास आदमी। और वो आतिशी मार लेना, वो इसके टॉकिंग वर्ड्स लेगी, साली पाकिस्तानी हो गए। ये लोगों को पूछना चाहिए ना तुम किस चीज में हो।
अभी आम आदमी पार्टी की बात करते हैं, यही सेम पार्टी है जो 6-8 महीने पहले they were indirectly vouching for trade between India and Pakistan through a Cārvāka border. Even Navjot Singh Sidhu he was a part of the Congress. क्या हुआ
भाई नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू अभी ऑफिशियली यूट्यूबर हो गया। उसने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाई, मैं अपना यूट्यूब चैनल स्टार्ट करता है, उसके लिए प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाई।
Problem ये ना, people have forgotten Arvind Kejriwal. Don't forget him. Do not forget him. He's retweeted Atishi's questions. You know what Atishi is asking? Atishi ka argument ye hai, and we should debunk it while we are at it. She says, when the Indian armed forces had a decisive upper hand, why was a sudden ceasefire announced? Clearly, she has not seen the map of how Pakistan was hit and what was on the edge. Where are the terrorists behind the brutal Pahalgam attack? Have they been captured, killed, whatever? The manhunt is on. Number 3, why has the ceasefire not announced by the Indian Army or the PM? Why was it announced by the American president? No, it wasn't announced by the American president. He claimed to have played a role. The enemy has already debunked it. Was the ceasefire done under pressure of Donald Trump threatening to stop US trade relations with India? अब चाची सुन, इंडिया ने चाइना के हुआवे को ब्लॉक करा था। Forget TikTok. TikTok छोटी चीज है, हुआवे। You think we really are under pressure on US-India trade relations? Our software industry is what really runs the corporates there, because our back-end job is done. The software industry there flourishes because we offer a very good labor destination. If Tesla wants to get to India, we are asking them to enter on our terms and conditions. If Starlink wants to come to India, we are asking them to enter on our terms and conditions. And you think US can play the trade card against India to ensure a ceasefire against Pakistan? No, because people need to know this. आम आदमी पार्टी अभी और 6 महीने में बहुत एक्टिव होगी, क्योंकि पंजाब में 27 में इलेक्शन है और कोई राज्य वो जीत नहीं सकती। They might try Goa in 2027 March, but they're not going to win elsewhere. So these things need to be clearly stated. Why is Atishi again doing the same thing that Arvind Kejriwal was doing in 2019? तब उसने क्या कहा था, मैं अपने लिए प्रूफ नहीं मांग रहा, मैं तो दुनिया को दिखाने के लिए प्रूफ मांग रहा हूं। 6 साल का जो डेटरेंस था वो अरविंद केजरीवाल के लिए प्रूफ है। बट वही मैं बात कहता हूं कुशल, यही आम आदमी पार्टी कल को अखिलेश यादव के साथ दिखेगी, यही आम आदमी पार्टी कल को बिहार इलेक्शन से पहले लालू प्रसाद यादव के साथ दिखेगी, यही आम आदमी पार्टी कल को कांग्रेस के साथ दिखेगी। यही आम आदमी पार्टी का चीफ मिनिस्टर अभी एमके स्टालिन से मिलकर आया था जब डीलिमिटेशन पे had called a conference of all opposition parties. It's all interconnected, and that is why I'm saying this entire episode has changed India's political structure. And this brings us back to our old debate. Kushal, remember the long podcast we did on India's regional parties and their utility? This is where I tell you that regional parties are absolutely useless because they conduct themselves like this. For them, it's only the incentive to appeal to their narrow voter base. The national cause can go to hell. एंड आई डोंट इवन नो व्हाट शी इज थिंकिंग. पंजाबी वोटर ये बातें सुन के तो इनको बिल्कुल वोट नहीं देगा. पंजाब का वोटर जितना नेशनलिस्ट है इनको तो
कोई
बिल्कुल
होगा नहीं. ये लोगों को समझ
इनको
में
तो
नहीं आती पंजाबी साइकी. क्या एक बार
भाई
सटक जाती है जब, तो पूरी तरह
एक
से
एक
लेते हैं वो.
एक बार एक फर्क समझो. इस बार पंजाब के ऊपर ड्रोन्स आए हैं. अब तक कश्मीर में आ रहे थे, वो कश्मीर में जो हो रहा था वो देख रहे थे. This time the attack has been on Punjab. All that bohemi of Sadepra, Asita Ekkoisi, all that is done and dusted. They have attacked the Golden Temple in Amritsar, the holiest shrine for the Sikh community. And you are going to run the government in Punjab and ask, why was the surrender not registered on a paper? One, it's a ceasefire, not a surrender. It's a different thing. Second, it's not a permanent arrangement. It's a temporary arrangement until Pakistan doesn't really stop catering to terrorism. And this is why I say, कांग्रेस से भी अभी ये सवाल आएंगे. थोड़े दिन रुको. कांग्रेस के लोग जो इनके आईटी सेल में बड़ी ऊंची हराकी पे ना ये एनवाईटी और फॉरेन पॉलिसी के आर्टिकल उठा के कोट करने लगेंगे. अब इनके लिए चैलेंज ये पड़ रहा है कि सारी इमेजेस सैटेलाइट पे कैप्चर्ड है. एनवाईटी ने अभी एक आर्टिकल रन किया, उन्होंने हेडलाइन कुछ और दी, अंदर सारा यही प्रूफ है कि इंडिया एक्चुअली डिमोलिश्ड पाकिस्तान इन द प्लेसेस इट क्लेम इट हैज. And now their challenge will be, how do we claim? So a lot of rhetoric will be spun to say that the prime minister was on the back foot. ये सब होगा भी. तभी मैं कह रहा हूँ, I am not willing to give any rope as an observer to any opposition MP unless they really will. Manish Tiwari, who was campaigning with the cadre of Aam Aadmi Party just a year ago in Chandigarh, say that the Aam Aadmi Party or Atishi Marlena is making no sense. Can Manish Tiwari do that? He can't, he won't, he hasn't. तो भाई इनकी मीठी मीठी बातें अपनी जगह है. आई रिफ्यूज टू बल्ज. आई थिंक वट एवर sort of this approach to Pakistan we have, it's only because the BJP is there. कांग्रेस ने क्या अप्रोच ली थी वो हमने 10 साल देख लिया. सीधे सा कंपैरिजन है भाई. हमने 10 साल कांग्रेस के देखे, हमने 10 साल बीजेपी के देखे. बीजेपी के 10 साल में हमने 3 बार ये इंस्टेंस देखे और अब की बार हमने ऐसा देख लिया कि पूरा पाकिस्तान पेल के रख दिया. और लोग भी लगे हुए थे 240 के बाद तो बैसाखियों की सरकार है. ये वही लोग हैं यार. 240 का कमजोर सरकार है. मोदी हैज नो मॉरल राइट टू कंटिन्यू. He's broken the spine of Pakistan's air force and military infrastructure. So no, I don't buy that India has achieved political bipartisanship, and that is where our future reforms are in danger. If today the government says that we want the state governments of Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Himachal even to pass a certain law of land acquisition that can make infrastructure, it can speed up infrastructure. You tell me, will Gujarat do it? Yes. Will Rajasthan do it? Maybe. Will Punjab do it? Never. I'll tell you why. In Punjab, there are farmers sitting blocking the construction of a critical highway. उनके लैंड एक्वायर हुए, उसके बाद वो प्रोटेस्ट करने लगे. लास्ट ईयर रिपोर्ट थी, गडकरी हैड टू टेल द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट एंड बॉस, वी आर विथड्रॉइंग आवर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स फ्रॉम योर स्टेट.
तो मालूम है पंजाब में आज भी हाईवे एक्विजिशन इज सच अ प्रॉब्लम.
यस इट इज.
वो हाईवे एक्विजिशन बाकी पूरे देश में हो रही है और पंजाब में नहीं हो रही है. लोगों को रियलाइज नहीं होता है. फिर पंजाबी बोलते हैं साडे नाल धोखा कीता, साडे नाल धोखा कीता. ओ कौन करदा पिया ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਧੋਖਾ?
it's
मोदी नहीं करदा पिया, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ नेता करदे ने.
No, it's an eye-opener for the people of Punjab, and we'll be discussing Punjab, of course, a lot more, their economics, which is almost at an irreversible point of calamity. But people of Punjab also need to know that Pakistan is next door. They don't care about that previous generational love you might have shared. They don't care. That is the problem in West Bengal also. The Bhadralok thinks East Bengal, West Bengal, it's still the same story. They're still stuck in pre-1971 era. I don't know how this will change. But the snakes will start coming out now, the political snakes, and they'll have to be dealt with. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about two things. One is, यार हमको आगे के बारे में सोचना पड़ेगा. I understand Operation Sindoor is still ongoing, and when I say ongoing, even I have spoken to sources in my sources in government. They are dead serious. कि भाई it don't be surprised if this is a lull before a storm. It could be a lull for a long time or kuch nahi ho, magar don't be surprised if there is a storm again. So that is point number one. Having said all of that, can we now as Indians get our shit together? Can we now as Indians demand better economic reforms in this country? No, I'm dead serious. This is the time. This is the time. We need to realize that we have to go to a 10 trillion economy as fast as we can. We need to have economic reforms ASAP. Can we now have a discussion about seriously increasing defense spending and serious police reforms in this country and judicial reforms in this country? Until and unless we don't do this, we as a nation cannot and will not be in a stronger position. और एक तस्वीर में लोगों को दिखा देना चाहता हूं. देखो भाई, फॉरेन पॉलिसी में मैंने हमेशा कहा था, माय व्यू इन फॉरेन पॉलिसी हैज ऑलवेज बीन, फॉरेन पॉलिसी इज ट्रांजैक्शनल. Sometimes you have one night stands with people, sometimes you have short flings with people, sometimes you have a proper marriage with people, then you have a divorce with people. Nothing says it more than what Donald Trump is doing over here. This man had a bounty on him, or still has a bounty. 10 million. Okay, this man has a bounty on him, and Donald Trump is that nikha ke gir raha hai. So boss, you have to understand, even the Americans have a transactional foreign policy. India needs to have a transactional foreign policy too, very openly. But when you are sitting on the table of bargaining shit for yourself, you have to accept one thing very clearly. My friend Ram Prasad shared this great AI photo that don't be surprised if Bin Laden was alive, this would be Donald Trump. Ye bhi ho sakta hai, boss. Anything is possible. This is how the Americans are. The Americans are their own. You know why I respect the Americans the most? Because they are the only priority for Americans is they are pro-America. Nothing else. Nothing else. They are pro-America. They don't give a shit about anything else. Whatever they feel in their calculation is good for America, they'll do it. What my problem with the entire Indian discourse is, India will do everything that is anti-India. Like stupid morons. This is the time. The lessons that we learn from Operation Sindoor is, we can't wait for 10 years to reach 10 trillion. We have to try to reduce the time. And for that, whatever economic reforms, police reforms, judicial reforms, I mean, Harish Salve is on record to say that the Supreme Court alone is responsible for 1% in reducing 1% ka growth rate hamare desh ka. Harish Salve, the most respected legal eagle in our entire nation today, has said that. Boss, when will we start talking about these things? That should be the discussion that we should have. Those are the learnings we should have from Operation Sindoor. And that should be the pressure you have to be putting on your government of the day. Because मेरी बात मान लेना, कांग्रेस से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. यही तुम्हारा मौका है, तुम्हारे नसीब है, तुम्हारे पास 4 साल है मोदी जी के. नसीब समझो, तुम्हारे पास 4 साल है मोदी जी के. दबाओ मोदी जी के ऊपर, प्रेशर डालो.
कम से कम 4 साल, हाँ. But I'll give an example of China. China, in 2020, when we were in the first lockdown, swiftly, quietly took over Hong Kong. There were the yellow jacket protests that were happening. No, yellow jacket, I think, was France. There was some sort of protests that were happening in Hong Kong against China. Because when the British left in 1997, the agreement was that until 50 years, 2047, China won't touch Hong Kong and they will have their own system, though under the Chinese. Beijing did not accept it. They took over Hong Kong. And today, Hong Kong is a part of China. It's not contested like Taiwan is, it's officially a part of China. They have the national security law in place where anyone who criticizes this acquisition or overall China anywhere in the world, they can be arrested. So, I, of course, in those days used to criticize China a lot. So, I don't think in my lifetime I will ever travel to China or Hong Kong for that matter. But this is the idea. You get to a certain threshold, then the geopolitics revolves around your interests. This is why yesterday when Kushal and I were discussing the digital market access, we emphasized that how powerful our digital market access is, but our GDP is still not there. So you look at China. China, think of gravity. Think of gravitational pull of a planet. Why would Jupiter have a greater gravitational pull than the Earth or than Mercury or than Venus? Because of its size. In this case, it's the size of the economy. We are already showing hints of that when we talk about our own market size, the digital market size. Because the good thing about a digital market is it is independent of purchasing power. It is independent of per capita. All it takes to run a digital economy is a couple of eyeballs. That is all it takes. And that is why this time, right now, we are the most powerful nation in the world when it comes to digital market. And that is why we need to start regulating it. That is why all the boycott campaigns I was looking at in the newsrooms today on Turkey, they make sense. We might be a small percentage of Turkey's overall visitors. I understand Turkey attracts a lot of Hollywood as well. I mean, one of the finest James Bond movies was shot there. I understand that. But we have to do our bit. Because there will come a time when this 0.5% will become 5%. And then it will become 15%. And then it will become 25%. We have to address that 0.5% today itself so that it doesn't become 10%.
Exactly.
Now, how do we get to becoming a 4 trillion economy? How do we get to a 10 trillion economy? There are so many aspects to it. Think of an MSME. An MSME may want to manufacture something very simple, something that can be used in the forces at any level, perhaps something that can be used in their cantonments for all I care. But let's make that process simple. Right now, why do MSMEs, because of the state governments or because of the municipalities' rules, has to struggle to get an electricity connection? Why should they? Why should they struggle to get credit access, even though the government in the center has taken out a lot of rules? But the PSUs now need to act up. You know, we heard this one word synergy between the three forces yesterday. We need that synergy right now in a bureaucracy, in the executive. And let's be very clear, you become a $10 trillion economy, you look up to the Chinese. Because China is getting older. You have a beautiful window of the next 10 years where there are Republicans in America across the next 8 years. I'm willing to bet that Republicans will continue even after Trump. JD Vance looks very presidential to me, at least. China is getting older. Xi Jinping is getting older. They'll enter a succession period. You have a prime minister who's in the best of health, can continue for another 8-10 years. What do we do? Where do we get until 2034? We have to become a $10 trillion economy. We have to increase the per capita. All our roti kapda makan problems are now solved. Now we need to solve the urban problems. We need to become a hardware country. How do we become a hardware country? You create a nudge for manufacturing. How do you create a nudge for manufacturing? You create improvements in the bureaucracy. How do you create those improvements? You start addressing corruption. Let there be a department within the finance ministry or the Ministry of Commerce who just specifically looks at the complaints that are filed on social media. The incompetent officers should be afraid of social media, irrespective at what level they are. Everyone has Androids. People are very smart enough. People are so bloody smart. आजकल तो लोगों से कोई घूस मांगता है, रिकॉर्ड कर लेते हैं बात बात पे. देख मैंने रिकॉर्ड किया. अगर आप, मैंने एक सिंपल कह रहा हूं, the center needs to realize this. Every file needs to have a digital footprint, trackable by all departments. Think of your couriers. You can track it at every step. Why can't we do it with our files? Because I know how much we lose out because of our MSMEs, and Kushal has run one. I'm not sure if he's qualified as an MSME or a large scale plant, but he's run one plant and he knows.
It's
So
a
where
pain
are
in
those reforms? Where are the land acquisition reforms? I was speaking to Rajiv Mantri and he told me that one of the challenges is that the payments of MSMEs are not cleared on time. Yes, there is a law in place for it. You can actually file a complaint at one of the portals and they address it. That's actually there. But where is that professionalism going to come from? अब इंडिया के लिए ना कुशल एक यूनिक प्रॉब्लम ये हो गया है कि हम 75 साल खुद को ना ये कह के डिफेंड करते थे, अरे हम बड़ा कहाँ सोच सकते हैं, हमारे तो देहात में गांव में इतनी गरीबी है, इतना ये है, इतना वो है, हम तो सोच नहीं सकते, रोटी कपड़ा मकान, हमारे तो यही 3 चैलेंजेस है. अब आपके वो चैलेंजेस नहीं है ना, यू हैव नो एक्सक्यूज टू सॉर्ट ऑफ सेटल. नाउ डू यू व्हाट? You tell me, is a land acquisition law possible? I urge, Kushal, if you can probably put the link in the description. We had a wonderful conversation on the regional parties and the utility. Go listen to it. And this was much before Operation Sindoor happened. ठीक है, प्लीज सुनना उसको जाके. क्या आज लैंड एक्विजिशन पे एक लॉ बन सकता है? मुश्किल है. क्या आज एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को स्पीड अप करने का लॉ बन सकता है? मुश्किल है. कैन वी पुश द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स टू ओन अप एंड पुट आउट देयर कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर एवरी ईयर and not spend on welfare? Say Maharashtra, Gujarat are. What about Punjab? Haryana also is. Haryana is 6th state on per capita, and it's now starting to sort of lead ahead of Tamil Nadu as well on per capita. But what about states like Jharkhand? What about Uttar Pradesh needs to do more. I have no, qualms saying it. Uttar Pradesh needs to do more. Bihar needs to do more. I really wish Bihar this year in Bihar, BJP chases the idea of a full majority on their own. They should. But अब आप किस चीज का बहाना मारोगे? टॉयलेट बन गए, पानी आ गया, सिलेंडर पहुंच गए, घर बन गए, खाना इतना आ रहा है कि लोग खाना जो उनको मिलता है राशन में वो उसको आगे बेच रहे हैं. आपके पास बहाना क्या है? आपके पास एक डेमोग्राफी भी है जो कह रही है हमें नौकरी दो. अब एक चीज ये आजकल की जनरेशन को भी समझनी होगी, विच इज पोस्ट 2000 born, बिकॉज द 90s kids and the 80s kids had a lot of the software boom before them. The 2000 kids are sort of embracing the era of AI, which makes a lot of their jobs redundant. Jobs that were starting leveling say 10 years ago are now done by AI in a matter of a few seconds. So can they move to hardware? यहाँ एजुकेशन मिनिस्ट्री क्या कर सकते हैं? It has to work in synergy. This has to be the next goal of the prime minister. He has to create a top-down approach. But you need reforms in multiple places. Indigenous manufacturing defense. उसके लिए क्या हो रहा है? Why are some of our players still saying that we face challenges when it comes to orders from the defense? So, I'm not criticizing here, but the idea I'm saying is you now need to look at a different kind of synergy, because Pakistan, you're perpetual state on war with. वहां जो डिफेंसेस हैं, आपको एक कंस्ट्रक्शन तो करनी है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करनी है कि आप एक एमुनिशन के इतने वो बना दो, इतना एमुनिशन बना दो कि देश में कमी ना हो. जब जरूरत पड़े पाकिस्तान पे, you can fire 100,000 missiles. You have to think like that, because somewhere you also have to plan for China. But China has a problem of its own, that it's getting old. So it might not be that focused on India. Plus, it has something to do with Taiwan as well. Now, if Indians fail to use this window, that would be heartbreaking. We already are moving towards increasing consumption. The tax cut up to 12 lakh is here. That's fine. But what next?
Yeah. My biggest worry has been the non-serious attitude of Indians as far as reforms is concerned. We just go from one outrage cycle to the other. We just do not want to focus on the main issues. And my biggest fear, as far as Operation Sindoor is also concerned, is that yes, we are proud of our armed forces. We are really proud of a lot of things. But what we are not understanding is, in this new world order, China is still a thing. America is still a thing. Quad has failed. Trump and his shenanigans have really, I don't know what's the future of the Quad 2 now. And these things are really, they matter. Just to say that, oh, kuch nahi hoga, kya nahi hoga, ye hai, wo hai. If we are really on our own,
We are,
so
and someone, Abhishek, I think, had posted this, that India is alone because we are brown and everyone else is white. I
no, aisa kuch
grudgingly
nahi hai. No, aisa kuch nahi.
disagree, but Indians also have to start thinking that you have stood up to Pakistan number of times now. This is a whole new doctrine. But what do we do next is important. अब लोग कह रहे हैं कि हम semiconductor plants लगा रहे हैं. Wonderful. We need to keep doing more of that. You need to sort of also ensure that you are embedded in the global supply chains. For all the noise Donald Trump made in this first term and the second term, you can't get China out of the global supply chain. Let me be very clear. Apple might produce as many iPhones, even the equal number of iPhones that it produces in China, it will still produce in China because it's a market. It's also a market for Apple. तो अब रिफॉर्म्स की अगर बात आती है, वक्फ इज अ रिफॉर्म. अभी कोर्ट में है, कल हेयरिंग है वक्फ की. वक्फ इज अ रिफॉर्म. यू कांट हैव योर लैंड पार्सल्स हेल्ड hostage by religious extremism. I'm sorry. Or religious ambiguity. Or religious freehand. However you want to define it. Waqf is an important reform. Judiciary is very important. Judiciary का एक idea ऐसा है, now everything is digital. There should be an option for everyone to Google a case, through a website or whatever, and a digital footprint should come. That when was the case started, how many adjournments, how many hearings, where is it, if the prosecutor has changed, the judge has changed, how many judges have sort of excused themselves out of it. Everything should be there. राइट नाउ वी हैव अ बिग फिगर कि हाँ इतने करोड़ केस पेंडिंग है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट का ये हाल है, ये हाल है, वो हाल है. सब कुछ डालो, क्योंकि ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं है ना. लोग डरते क्यों नहीं है? आज एक एमसीडी का, म्युनिसिपैलिटी दिल्ली का ऑफिसर क्यों नहीं डरता किसी की फाइल अटकाने से? जो एमएसएमई चलाता है उसको कहता है क्या कर लोगे, जाओ कंप्लेन करनी कर लो, जो मेरे ऊपर बैठा मुझसे ज्यादा इनकॉम्पिटेंट है, और जो उसके ऊपर बैठा है वो मेरे भरोसे बैठा है, किसको घूस खानी है, मैं ही लाके दे रहा हूँ उसको डब्बा. It's a very vicious loop, and you can't blame the center for it. You can't blame the state for it. But the system is such. If you want to fix the system fight backs. And it's not one or two individuals, it's just how the system functions. So how do you get more transparency into it? और अब सब AI वगैरह है, मतलब ये बहाने अब चल नहीं सकते. बात ये है, जब आनी शुरू होंगी ना, हर एक कमेंटेटर, कोई बिहार का बच्चा है, वो बोलेगा वीडियो बना के कि बिहार के या पटना हाई कोर्ट में ये केस इतनी देर से क्यों अटका हुआ है. We all are for freedom of speech, democratization, but that should lead to something. I really marvel this government for one thing, that in the last 10 years, they have been able to build like they have, despite the judiciary, despite the state governments, despite the NGOs, despite the activism, despite the environmentalism, despite all that nonsense we do in the name of don't cut trees and all that, what we saw in Mumbai, आरे फॉरेस्ट पे, ये चीजें नहीं चल पाएंगी. आप लोग कह देते हो कि अरे वी डेमोक्रेसी है, ये है, वो है. डेमोक्रेसी का मतलब ये नहीं है कि दैट एवरी 2 steps you take towards becoming a 10 trillion economy, you take 4 steps back. Democracy cannot have a net negative when it comes to reforms and efficiency of the governance, right? So I think this is where we need to start thinking. And people have an incentive now that your indigenous air defense systems work, that you have the capacity to take out Chinese air defense systems and missiles. आज का पीआईबी का रिलीज है, पढ़ो. तब तो तुम्हें सरकार प्रूफ भी दे रही है कि हम कर सकते हैं, थोड़ा और भसड़ मचाओ. ये कहानी है.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that the press release that PIB has given, I'm going to share it, the operating part of it. Just give me a moment, putting it up on your screen right now. The operating part of the press release by PIB is this. Indian Air Force bypassed and jammed Pakistan's Chinese supplied air defense systems, completing the mission in just 23 minutes, demonstrating India's technological edge. This is not something very small. This is a very significant thing that We don't realize these things. In fact, next week I'm going to do a detailed podcast on the entire op. मैं उसके ऊपर podcast करने वाला हूँ with someone who has expertise in air combat especially. I have already fixed it. Next week I will do it because I need to read, right? मेरे को तो knowledge नहीं है इस चीज की, so I need like 5-6 days to read up and at least I be in a position where I can ask intelligent questions and not look like a idiot. So I'm taking my time, and these things are very important. This one is we are at a cusp. We are doing most of the things right, but I think at the internal reforms bit and the defense spending bit, we need to question our government, and this does not make you anti-national, guys. You should demand economic reforms if you want. But this is my last bit, and then we'll take questions. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing as soft power. There is only hard power. Only and only hard power. Hard power comes from being an economic giant and a military giant. That's all. जब तक इंडियंस ये चीज का एहसास नहीं करेंगे, तब तक यही चलता रहेगा. डंडा दिखाओगे अपनी औकात के हिसाब से तो ही दुनिया सुधरेगी. मालदीव्स ने हमको उंगली की थी, हमने मालदीव्स की वहां पे जाना बंद कर दिया. यू रिमेंबर हाउ मेनी पीपल वर मॉकिंग इंडिया एट दैट टाइम? कौन देखता है, हु केयर्स? मालदीव्स झुकी, वो झुकी, हम वापस जाना शुरू हो गए. ये भ्रम में बिल्कुल नहीं रहना. अपने पैसे और अपने वो डॉलर खरीदने की ताकत को अभी धीरे धीरे समझना सीखो. और मैंने बोला ना, सॉफ्ट पावर एक मिथ है. ये हार्ड पावर होती है और लोग उसको यूज नहीं करते, तो वो सॉफ्ट पावर दिखती है. इसीलिए अमेरिका डोमिनेट करता है, इसीलिए चाइना डोमिनेट करता है. आई विल रिमाइंड यू अगेन, द रीजन जॉन सीना हैड टू मेक अ वीडियो इन मैंड्रिन इज, भाई चाइना मैटर्स. जॉन सीना मैंड्रिन में बोल रहा था. मैंड्रिन में.
Just remember, irrespective of your income, wherever you fall in the economic pyramid, through your eyeballs, you have someone's digital economy by the balls.
Yes, we have to use that. We have to use our digital edge over all these people. मैं खुला बोल रहा हूँ बॉस. मैं वापस लोगों को रिमाइंड कर रहा हूँ. अभी तो ठीक है, now I can comfortably talk about it. Like when I was sitting on a vacation and I came up with the devious plan of why don't we hit Pakistani YouTube, and then I wrote a formal letter to the government requesting them to do it, and I'm grateful to the government that they agreed to it. And obviously Abhijit jumped in with me because I called him and said, chalo thoda evil game khelte hain. But the point is, I know the power of our digital eyeballs now. I know how many people make money off of us.
एक चीज किसी ने इंटरेस्टिंग लिखी थी, ऐसे मैं रैंडमली कमेंट्स देख रहा था. Probably not the time, and probably once we understand real estate even more, the one problem India has had, which prevents it from growing at 10 to 12%, which it can, is in our country, real estate is unaffordable. For the kids born after 95, I don't think there is any chance that they'll be able to buy real estate without exhausting one of their other properties. And it has a huge impact on how our economy works, because when China was growing at 10-12% between late 1990s and late 2010s, it was all real estate. 1/3 of the GDP was being powered by real estate. The Chinese were building like anything because they were confident that 1 billion people want to buy houses. Then, of course, the crash came, and of course, they built more than that was required. But our problem is the way state governments function, the way this entire real estate ecosystem functions. Real estate is out of reach for Hindus or people at large. But because it's also Hindus, that has an impact on the demography. The cost of education, I kid you not, look up the reports of 2021. In China, when they wanted to do away with the one-child policy in 2021, because they suddenly realized they're getting old before they get filthy rich, They abolished the one-child policy, and then they realized there is a problem. What is the problem? Cost of education is too high. The private tutoring industry is too expensive for parents, and therefore they do not want to have kids or have just one kid. What did the Chinese do? They abolished the private tutoring industry. Now, we can't work like the Chinese, but our real estate, until it doesn't come in the reach of a common man who is probably the first in his generation, a common person who's first in their generation to probably build a house, you're going to have a problem. You'll languish at around 6 to 7%. And that sort of makes our 10 trillion goal even far. The other good point about sort of solving your real estate problem is you solve your demography problem. You solve your cultural problem also. Why do you think that a lot of cultural problem now exists between the Hindus? Because the families are not living together anymore. The grandparents are not living with the grandkids. It is a little digressing, but it has an impact. Think about it. A lot of people, I once spoke to Gurgaon, and this was when I was doing an article in Swarajya 3-4 years ago. They said, sorry, but the cost of education is too high for us to even think about a second kid. Now, why in an age where the access to education is so easy, it's just one mobile phone, that's it. Why is it then that the cost of education is so high? It's something for the state to think about. Byju's has failed, and that is enough evidence that you put a price to digital education, you will fail, because digital education is free. You put a heavy price to real estate, people stop buying houses. They can't sort of expand their families in the way they want to, in the way our parents want, perhaps could. Now, what happens when you fix the real estate problem? There's a lot of manufacturing in the country. There is an incentive to manufacture. Look around your house or your office, wherever you are. Think about the things that are there. A bookshelf, the lights, table, chair, whatever. A lot of it is still sort of China transported, imported, whatever you call it. That is where you have your biggest trade deficit with China. Now, all of this needs to be fixed, because the day you start growing at 10-12%, you're in for a huge gain geopolitically. Now, some people will say, पर हम तो caste census करवाते रहते हैं, हम religions और freebies में हैं, भाई हैं. But the problem is the people also want it. It's a balance we'll have to strike. I am okay for someone giving a welfare if the state budget can afford that. Maharashtra can afford that. Maharashtra is not cutting down on its state infrastructure. Punjab is.
But Punjab,
that's a problem. Punjab is. That's a problem. पंजाब तो वेलफेयर भी नहीं पूरा कर रहा. उन्हें तो 1000 रुपए प्रॉमिस किए थे, ना उन्होंने 1000 रुपए दिए, ना उन्होंने एक्सपेंडिचर किया. तो ये जो रिफॉर्म्स की प्रॉब्लम है ना, ये नहीं है कि सरकार ने लॉ बनाया, पास हो गए. इसमें it has to be a two-way thing. The government has to act on the real estate. I don't care. And this is one conversation I used to have with the editor previously, and he also used to wonder कि demonetization हो गया, GST हो गया, pandemic आ गया, इंडिया का real estate crash क्यों नहीं किया? But now it's reaching a saturation point. All the things you hear about 100 crore rupees flats, all of it, much of it is a marketing gimmick. But it discourages people from looking at real estate. So what they do, they end up buying gold. Or they end up spending on assets that have no long-term value. Yeah. But yeah someday.
Chalo, we'll take questions now. Questions, comments, and we'll go through them very fast because I have to go somewhere. Could Pak's drones find vulnerability of defense? I don't know. I will not comment because I'm not an expert. ये सबसे कॉमेडी है. Do you think since our country is united against Pakistan, we should get icici? कोई भरोसा नहीं, सरकार ले भी आएगी.
It's on the cards, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to talk about it. Even I have heard it. सरकार कंसिडर कर रही है, अभी ले आते हैं. चलो, डिंग डोंग हो ही रही है तो पूरी तरह से डिंग डोंग कर देते. If it was a ceasefire, was it possible for India to ask for wanted terrorists as a consider? Who told you it's a ceasefire? It is not a ceasefire.
It's not a ceasefire. It's an arrangement.
यार मतलब सच्ची यार आप लोग
arrangements get broken in a day, in a week, in a month, maybe less.
भाई बिल्कुल सरप्राइज नहीं हो जाना. 2-3 महीने के अंदर फिर से डिंग डोंग हो जाए पाकिस्तान की. बिल्कुल सरप्राइज नहीं हो जाना.
It's a long summer.
बहुत लंबा समर है. अगर मैं पाकिस्तानी होता था तो मेरी रोज रात को फट के सोता था। मैं बोल रहा हूँ, बिल्कुल अज्यूम नहीं करना कि हम बंद कर चुके हैं, उनकी डिंग डोंग कभी भी हो सकती है। Seems like the Indian government is livid over Americans trying to draw equivalence between victim India and terrorist Pakistan. Will India do anything to address this with us? We will know in the next period of 6 months. देखो, मैं आपको है ना कुछ एहसास दिलाना चाहता हूँ। आज हुआ है, कल इंडिया जाएगी, ये बॉक्सिंग मैच नहीं है। ये ट्रम्प इकडे ये रे, तू काय करतोस रे, तू ट्रम्प इकडे ये काय बोल लो तू। ऐसे नहीं होता है भाई, टाइम लगता है चीजों को, टाइम लगता है। It's after Sindoor, it's Operation PKMKB. I think Operation PKMKB is for सदाबहार forever. वो तो ना कभी बंद हुआ था, ना कभी चालू होने की मदद करनी ये हो रही है, वो तो हमेशा से ही था। तो दूसरा क्या है, Can we buy land from Bangladesh to expand chicken snack? Aditya Agashe, I wholeheartedly endorse this sentiment of yours. Agashe
अंबानी
is,
जी
I'm
थोड़ा
assuming from
चिल्लर
Maharashtra.
अडानी जी थोड़ा चिल्लर निकालेंगे, हो भी जाएगा। आई डोंट रूल दैट आउट। भाई ये 10 ट्रिलियन
नहीं,
बनाओ।
मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ बांग्लादेश देश क्यों है। मैं तो कितनी बार बोल चुका हूँ, मजाक में बांग्लादेशी एकदम हाइपर हो जाता है। तूने क्या बोला? अमित मालविया एंड बीजेपी आईटी सेल डूइंग पॉलिटिकल प्रोपेगेंडा व्हेन वॉर वाज इट्स पीक, बुलशिट। आप लोग अमित मालविया को जानते नहीं हो, छोड़ दो। when I feel Amit has done something wrong, Amit will be criticized. I know Amit more than all of you guys combined. He does his work, so Shanti Rao. And Amit and I have disagreements on many things, but Amit is a hardworking guy. That
No,
I will
wonderful.
always give Amit that
Person.
much. Yeah, I will always give Amit that much credit. Amit and I have open disagreements, but there is mutual respect there. That will never go away. Should India invest in 5th generation aircraft or should it bypass, start working on 6th generation unmanned autonomous aircraft? ओ भाई जो है उसको तो संभाल लो। ये क्वेश्चन ऑनेस्टली एक एविएशन एक्सपर्ट को देना चाहिए, हमको नहीं देना चाहिए। I'm just being honest. How much credible is the news about Balochistan declaring independence? Oh yeah, get serious. I mean, come on यार, तुम लोग यार सोशल मीडिया की हर चीज को सीरियसली मत लो। सिनो वहाबी लेफ्ट लॉबी इज अ रियल थ्रेट। वो तो इंडिया में भी है भाई। इंडिया में कितने सिनो वहाबिस्ट हैं, कितने हैं इंडिया में? इट्स एक्चुअली स्कैरी हाउ मेनी इन इंडिया एग्जिस्ट। Okay, अभी ये क्वेश्चन तू ले, do you think opposition parties are interested in specs and operation details so that they can share details with outsiders like China and Turkey? Very good question, by the way.
See, the government puts out information it wants to, not at one it has to. The government is under no compulsion to release extra bit of information to appease anyone, be it the people of India, be it the opposition. They'll always prioritize national interest, national security over any political interest. Number two, the government at various junctures has tried to engage the political parties, especially right after Operation Sindoor. The all-party meet was there, everyone was meeting. The government is engaging them. But even the government will give information it wants to give, not one it has to give. There is no compulsion with the government.
I'm so bullish on R&D because I have seen what India can do. It made me so proud, but I'm too young. How and last year in CS major, how can I help in R&D? Well, first complete your education, and then things will fall automatically. I think we are slowly but surely developing that culture. I think India's real golden period will be 10 years down the line. And you know what is magnificent is most likely all things remain sane, and I will be alive to see it. So, how sure are we that Pakistan's nukes are not owned and controlled by the Americans? Honestly, we don't know that. I mean, I don't know. Do you think the threat is nothing but hot? Like, how do we know, yaar? I mean, how do Tushar and I know? कौन सा मैं ट्रम्प को पर्सनली जानता हूँ जो मैं उसको फोन करूंगा, ये डोनाल्ड बता मेरे को? How do we know? Like, how do we know, man?
But good conspiracy theory.
अच्छी एकदम मस्त conspiracy theory. I am impressed with it. हमारे जो लोग हैं ना, वो ऐसे अच्छी कॉन्स्पिरेसी थियरी पहनने में आई एम इम्प्रेस्ड। मस्त चीजें पहनते हैं। If PAF was able to shoot IAF jets, why they didn't before IAF hit Pakistan? Why they disappeared after IAF seed operation? भाई मेरे को अभी तक नहीं समझ पड़ता है, लोग प्लेन टूट गया के ऊपर ही नहीं आ रहे हैं। हमने उनके पूरे डिफेंस सिस्टम की धज्जियां उड़ा दी, अंदर जाके उनको ठोक के वापस आ गए,
नहीं, वो
फिर
वही
हमने
कह रहे
वापस
वही
सर्वेलेंस के लिए भेजा।
वो वही कह रहे, कहते हैं इतना मतलब क्लेम कर रहे हो तो पहले क्यों नहीं मारा, या बाद में इतना ऑपरेशंस कर दिया तब क्यों नहीं मारा, तो वो फेंक रहे हैं ना भाई।
As these people paid by foreign actors are all they actually real bozos? What if both are true?
Much of them are paid, many of them are paid.
बहुत बहुत लोगों को पैसे मिलते हैं, बहुत लोगों को पैसे मिलते हैं। ये जो पेड प्रोपेगेंडा सोशल मीडिया पे होता है ना मित्रों, और हर साइड में होता है, बाय द वे हर साइड में होता है। मैं सिर्फ हाथ जोड़ के लोगों को नमन कर सकता हूँ जो 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 20-20 हजार 25-25 हजार रुपए 50,000 रुपए के लिए ट्वीट करते हैं। हाथ जोड़ के नमन है उन लोगों को। किसी दिन अगर मेरी सटक गई और मैंने लोगों को एक्सपोज कर दिया ना, तो क्या क्या नहीं होगा, मैं और कुछ नहीं बोल सकता। On one hand, we talk about needing white man's validation, but on the other hand, we want our own global narrative. Let's be honest, the West is never going to show India in good light. Why even bother? See,
I
I
agree.
understand that. Yeah, I completely understand, which is why ये जो न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स का ये जो आर्टिकल आया है, आई डोंट नो इफ यू गाइज हैव पेड अटेंशन, अभिजीत ने उसके स्क्रीनशॉट शेयर किए है। मेरे को मेरे को मालूम है, बस मैं पहले वो न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के आर्टिकल का स्क्रीनशॉट शेयर करूंगा, उसके बाद है ना शिव अरूर का शिव ने इतना कॉमेडी मीम शेयर किया ना, उसके लिए शिव इतना मस्त आदमी है। तो ये न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स ने ये आर्टिकल लिखा है, सो उसके ऑपरेटिव पार्ट जस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए, नॉट दैट आई गिव अ शिट अबाउट इट, but satellite imagery indicates that while the attacks were widespread, the damage was far more contained and then claimed and appeared mostly inflicted by India on Pakistani facilities. Operating parts hain. High resolution satellite imagery from before and after the strikes show clear damage to Pakistani facilities by Indian attacks, if limited and precise in nature. Satellite images of the sites of Pakistan claimed to have hit are limited and so far do not clearly show damage caused by Pakistani airstrikes, even at bases where there was corroborating evidence of some military action. Pakistani officials, according to state media, said their forces had destroyed India's Udhampur airbase. The family of one soldier has confirmed his death on the base, but an image from May 12th does not appear to show damage. So ये वो आर्टिकल था, मगर इसमें इसमें ग्रेटेस्ट मीम यार शिव भी साला शिव ने जो मीम शेयर किया ना, मैं हंस हंस के पागल हो गया। ये देखो, ये शिव है ना, चीटिंग करता है शिव। शिव को देख, ये देख, शिव लिखता है न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स रिपोर्टर वाइल फाइलिंग सॉरी और सैटेलाइट इमेजेस ऑफ आईएएफ बेसिस। ओ शिव अरूर मेरे भाई, तो क्या कर रहा है? Oh, he's such a good journalist, man. But I loved this one. Do you think air defense systems like Akash, DRDO, CUAS, and EW systems perform great? Will we receive export orders? What defense projects should we fast track? I think they did great, and yes, I think we're going to get export orders. I don't know what Tushar's opinion is.
I think let's give it some time. I don't want to jump the gun. They performed great, yes, but it's also a prerogative of the Indian government that where do they want to sell. So, should defense projects be fast tracked? Of course. I mean, we've discussed this. Everything should be fast tracked. We should be in a hyperdrive mode.
Next question. I'm from Nangal. These AAP people have started a dharma on Nangal Dam, a barrage of causing heavy traffic jams. Mind you, this dam connects HP with Punjab.
तो वही तो हम बात कर रहे थे अभी, वही तो हम बात कर रहे थे.
He's reconfirming what you've said. Okay, wait. Aajkal Pakistanis are coming live in vertical live format in YouTube Reels and getting a lot of engagement from us. I don't know. I'll have to see. देखेंगे. As long as they come on our channel, I don't give a shit. We should not go on their channel. हमको क्या करना है, उनको आने देना हमसे. एक मिनट. Why can't our government support Baloch army officially? I think we should now. अभी तो क्या है, अभी तो कर ही देना चाहिए. This is my view again. Okay, to answer, what are the ways to pressurize the government for long-term reforms? They are mostly looking at elections all the time. It's a fair question.
Start reading the manifestos for a start. You all should start reading the election manifestos. You all need to be a part of that conversation. I genuinely feel disappointed on how so few Indians, probably in hundreds of the 140 crore, have actually voiced their concerns against Rahul Gandhi's idea of wealth redistribution, something that he's put it in the manifesto as well. You guys need to be a part of the conversation on social media, but you're not doing that. I remember breaking down the manifestos of BJP and Congress and other smaller parties with Kushal last year. People just sort of look for sensationalism. You're not getting the right information, or you're not accessing the right information. And that is how you start pressurizing the national parties, through which you start making a change at the state level. That is what people of Haryana have did, at least I would like to assume. Even in Delhi, there was some pressure from the people only when the civic infrastructure was depleting a few months before the elections, and that is how it really changed. So you need to be a part of the conversation. Nothing is going to happen magically. Nothing. But then people are not voicing themselves. That's the problem.
Will AI and automobile be our large become? क्या मेरे को तो ये क्वेश्चन ही नहीं समझ पड़ा, क्या अंग्रेजी लिखा है? With our large, मैं छोड़ दे, मैं अंग्रेजी का बलात्कार हो गया इधर.
He's saying with our large population, it might become a burden also, but you'll have to find ways to address that. Maybe sort of a digital testing system or something. We'll discuss about it someday else. But yeah, it can become a burden. It can become a boon as well. Glass half full, half empty.
Chal tu bol. Underrated aspect of this is disillusionment of the Punjabi population with Pakistan. Section of them had a bit of Aman ki Asha syndrome towards Pakistan, probably due to ancestral roots. Overt targeting of Punjab, especially Amritsar Golden Temple, have blown that into pieces. यार एक, can I just say, मतलब इतना भी कोई पंजाबी पाकिस्तान से प्यार नहीं करता है. I think ये थोड़ा mythology भी है. जब ठोकने की बारी आती है तो सबसे आगे आगे ठोकते भी पंजाबी ही हैं.
नहीं, देखो, एक दुख तो है, एक दुख तो था कि जो हुआ 47 में, उसका एक दुख तो रहेगा. पर वो जनरेशन, वो जनरेशंस चली गई, वो जनरेशंस गई. अभी की जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट थी या उससे पहले की जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट थी, उनको लगता था अटारी वाघा इज आवर इंटरनेशनल गेटवे टू द वर्ल्ड थ्रू पाकिस्तान. दैट सेंटिमेंट शुड नाउ बी buried. It should be buried deep inside Kairana Hills.
Government has said India lost 0 jets. Can we ascertain?
फिर से
एक काम करो, ये तुम लोग एक सेल फोन खरीद के मेरे को गिफ्ट कर दो और वो मैं उसको ऐसे गिरा दूंगा, वो बोल दूंगा वो रफाल है. यार तुम लोग यार ये भारत की मेंटालिटी. Why hasn't India yet recognized Armenian genocide? पता नहीं यार. सेम बलोच का क्वेश्चन है, वो तो हम आंसर कर चुके हैं. सब लोग बलोचिस्तान का क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं. इस बलोचिस्तान सेपरेट कंट्री. अरे भाई, बलोचिस्तान का जो होना होगा यार. तो जो गवर्नमेंट को करना करेगी यार. तुम लोग यार गवर्नमेंट के पीछे पड़ गए. तोड़ दो बलोचिस्तान. अरे मैं एज एन इंडिविजुअल कर सकता हूँ, सरकार नहीं कर सकती भाई. शांति रखो. जैसे सरकार कैसे करती होगी हल में, हाँ, बस ऐसे करके बैठती होगी सरकार. टूट जाए, फिंगर्स क्रॉस्ड. सरकार कभी भी ऑफिशियली कुछ नहीं बोलेगी. एनीवेज, we'll wrap up now because I have to now go and meet a friend. But before that, I also wanted to share one more. ये देखो, ये मैं जो टी शर्ट पहनी है, मुझे किसी ने स्पेशली भेजी है. ये वाली टी शर्ट, मैं उसकी इमेज भी शेयर कर देता हूँ. ये भी बेचारे अच्छे लोग हैं. आई एम नॉट पेड और एनीथिंग टू डू दिस प्रोपेगेंडा. भाई मेरे को कोई अक्यूज नहीं कर देना कि मैं पेड प्रमोशन करता हूँ, मैं नहीं करता. तो ये भी एक टी शर्ट किसी ने भेजी है भाई. अगर जिसको जाके लेनी है ले लेना. मैंने तो पहनी है ये. दिस इज इन ऑनर ऑफ ऑपरेशन सिंदूर. इट सेज धर्मो रक्षति रक्षते. तो अगर आपको लेनी है, ये ब्रांड इनका है आगामी. ये जाके ले लेना. अगेन आई वांट टू रिपीट, मेरे को किसी ने कोई पैसे नहीं दिए हैं. दीज आर स्वीट पीपल. दे सेंट मी अ शर्ट जस्ट आउट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट. I am just returning the favor because they sent me a shirt. मैंने तो पहनी भी. कल ही आई मेरे को रात को, तो मैंने आज पहन ली. And अगर आप लोगों को लेनी है तो जाके ले लेना इन लोगों की पास. दिस इज द ब्रांड एंड इसीलिए मैंने चला के रखा है. फॉर द ऑडियो वंस, AGAMI, ओके. And all profits from the red edition of Dharmo Rakshati Rakshate t-shirt is being pledged towards Indian Armed Forces. So मैं एक मिनट आपको ये आगामी की वेबसाइट, वो भी इतने जीनियस लोग हैं, उन्होंने मेरे को वेबसाइट की लिंक नहीं भेजी, मगर मैं अभी खुद निकाल के
मैं चैट पर दे
हाँ
देता हूँ एक से.
रुक जा. वो
I'll give
इतने
it.
जीनियस, उन्होंने बोला कि सर हाँ हमारी टी शर्ट प्रमोट कर देना, मगर उन्होंने मेरे को खुद अपनी वेबसाइट नहीं दिया. अभी मेरे को नहीं मालूम वेबसाइट क्या है उनकी, तो मैं निकाल रहा हूँ. हाँ
निकाल भेज दी.
मिल गए. रुक जा, अभी मैं उसको चैट में भी डाल रहा हूँ. ये है वेबसाइट what's WHATSAGAMI.com, whatsagami.com. So again, I am not paid to promote any of this stuff, okay? So don't get any ideas कि मेरे को कोई पैसा देता है. I don't do paid promos. I don't do it. मेरे को बहुत ऑफर आते हैं मेरी पॉडकास्ट के लिए कंपनियों से, मैं कभी नहीं करता. The only time I promote something is either they are a friend of mine or it's a good cause, तब मैं करता हूँ. So I am just doing my bit. And Kadak Merch also called me, by the way. मेरी शर्ट आ गई यार. कहाँ गई? अरे वो पूरे मलबे में दबी होगी नीचे. मेरी शर्ट आ गई. So if you guys also want to, वो भी मैं दूसरी भी शर्ट प्रमोट कर देता हूँ. कड़क मर्च ने आज मेरे को मैसेज किया. अनबिलीवेबल रिस्पॉन्स उन्होंने बोला, अनबिलीवेबल रिस्पॉन्स. सो I am so happy that people are buying in hordes. I am so happy about that, and I'm proud of Indians general for supporting this. So ये भी shirt है. Again, I am not making money in any of this. So I already have my shirt, and this is the link, guys. अगर अभी तक ऑर्डर नहीं किया है, दोनों शर्ट्स का मैंने बताया, जाके प्लीज ऑर्डर भी कर दो. ये है लिंक, एंड आई हैव एडेड इट इन द चैट. एंड पहन के PKMK भी करके घूमना थोड़ी मानू पाकिस्तानियों. So we will wrap it up, but before we wrap it up, if you guys have not subscribed to the Atom channel on YouTube, go subscribe to it. नहीं तो 100 लानते तुमको. Also follow Tushar on X. You know what we do on this podcast together takes a lot of hard work, and IPL is about to restart again. All my negative energy towards RCB and its fandom, मेरा फोकस हटा नहीं है मित्रों, बिल्कुल याद रखना. RCB is always at the back of my mind. And if you have not followed me on X, do follow me. My X handle is also there in the description along with Tushar's. And if you have not subscribed to the Cārvāka podcast YouTube channel, bhai subscribe karo, like karo ye video, comment mein comment dalna. If you are an audio listener, do leave a rating in your preferred audio platform. And yes, देखो मैं ये चीजें प्रमोट कर देता हूँ, हजारों शर्टें बिक जाती हैं, कितने लोगों की किताबें भी बिक जाती हैं. पॉइंट ये है, अरे हाँ किताब से याद आया, एक ये तो मेरी खास दोस्त है अमी गणात्रा की यार नई किताब आई है. अगर तुम लोगों के बच्चे हैं तो यार प्लीज ये किताब जाके ले लेना. मैं भूल ही गया साला. अगेन, शी इज माई डियर फ्रेंड. दिस इज द लिंक एंड एवरीथिंग. इट इज बाय Blue One Ink. Ami Ganatra has written a book for kids. I would request everyone with folded hands, please go and buy Ami's book. आपके बच्चों के लिए. All the details are there over here. Pre-order का link मैं copy करके again I'm putting it in the live stream. Please go and buy Ami's book. अगर नहीं लोगे तो तुम्हारी favorite IPL team हार जाएगी. So go support Ami Ganatra too. Buy her book. एंड इफ यू वांट टू सपोर्ट मी, देखो भाई अपन तो कोई एड रीड करते नहीं है, तो अपन तो आपकी छोटी डोनेशंस भले वो यूपीआई में भेज दो या कनाडा वाले इंटरैक्ट कनाडा से भेज दो, यहाँ मेंबरशिप पे उस पे ही जिंदा है. तो अगर कर सकते हो कर देना, नहीं तो फिर अगली बार मिलेंगे. RCB सक्स, टेक केयर, PKMKB.